Well, the train doesn't stop. 4 games in the NHL tonight, including the Winnipeg Jets, home to the Nashville Predators. Hustler Paterson is doing great things, as always, at Winnipeg Sports Talk, and joins us to preview that game and others. How you doing, Hustler? What's up, bro?
Roddy, what's going on, man? It's great to talk to you. Got a big one tonight here between the Jets and the Preds. And I just heard the last segment. You're all fired up for the ATL to get back in the league, huh?
Well, why not? What would you vote on that?
Well, put it this way. I mean, I think you obviously need to know more about, the group that's putting it together. I don't think there's any way the NHL would go down that road, having failed twice already, if they didn't have a legit, proper ownership group, arena, everything set up. And I guess we'll find out about that. But I will tell you this. I know why they want to get into that market. I mean, it is simply one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the United States. It's a massive sporting community, and it's an area that hockey could grow significantly. I mean, you kind of laid it out. Like, what's happened now 20 plus years since the Florida teams have established? I mean, not only are they very healthy franchises and 2 of the top teams in the National Hockey League right now, well, obviously Florida more so than Tampa. But if you are looking to grow the game and you're looking to get new fans involved and engage more people, going to a place like Atlanta and doing it properly and having it succeed would be great for the NHL. I mean, I don't think it's any secret why this is of interest to them after, and obviously, like, Gary Bettman was even around for the first time around. The Thrashers experiment was maybe too early, maybe not done properly. But you learn lessons when you fail, and I would suggest that Atlanta actually is worthwhile taking another crack at it if they have everything set up the way it needs to be to succeed long term.
Thank you. I'll put you down as a yes. And this program, as you know, airs on WQEE in Atlanta. It's not just because of that do I want a team in Atlanta, but it doesn't hurt. And I'll also say you and I grew up in an era, I shouldn't speak for you, but we're about the same age, of a 21-team NHL. Buddy, in 1985, if somebody had said there will be 32 teams in 40 years, we would have said, what? No, preposterous. Well, here we are. Like, what's one more or 2 more, really?
Yeah, I mean, the only negative I would say is, we are getting to the point, if you're adding 2 or 4 teams down the road, at what point do you dilute the talent? Although I think you can argue on the other side, the game is as fast and as skilled as it has ever been. Training and developing players is at a level beyond anything that we've seen before. So there certainly is an argument to be made that there is the talent and will continue to be the talent moving forward. But it's interesting. I'm most interested. I mean, the Atlanta thing to me seems a little bit down the road. When we're talking about the NHL off the ice right now, the most interesting thing to me is what happens with the Coyotes. I mean, I don't think, like, what was lost, I think, to some people when that press conference came out from the Utah group was not that, we're looking to be the 33rd expansion team. It was a little bit in there where Ryan Smith said, we are ready to host NHL hockey right now. And to me, that was the press on the Coyotes to either bleep or get off the pot. This saga has gone so long. And listen, this is similar to Atlanta. Do we know why the NHL wants to be in Arizona? Absolutely. Similar. Huge market. A market that really can work. But it's so broken right now with where they're playing, with their inability to move anything done. And the PA is now saying, like, this is BS. It's costing all of us a ton of money. I would be surprised, Rod. And again, maybe I say this from Winnipeg because I know how quickly a team can move and be turned around if the new operators are ready to make it work. I think the Coyotes are in Utah next year. I'll put that, you can put that one on the board right now. I don't think they're going to go through another year of waiting to see how the bid on a X parcel of land is going to go at some point. I mean, I really think that now that the trade deadline and everything is done, I think a lot of the people behind the scenes in the National Hockey League probably have already been doing this. But I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing the last of the days of the Coyotes at Mullet Arena. And when Atlanta comes in, maybe in 2 or 3 years, if they can actually get their ducks in a row and get their arena built, I think the NHL comes back to Phoenix in an expansion format after a break of 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but what would be different? Why would you, like, maybe you're hearing things behind closed door. I stay out of this stuff because too much information got me fired. I don't want to know. I do not want to know. What I do know is there's an owner in Arizona that's got more money than brains, and he's the exact guy that Gary Bettman wants because he's not bitching about moving or bitching about attendance at all. He's fine. And as far as Utah goes, nobody's dying to go to Utah as a tourist city. Atlanta, there's a little more chutzpah. You know what I mean? And we haven't even brought up Houston, which is one of the greatest cities in America. Ryan from upstate New York writes in, he says, the greater Atlanta area also includes a lot of transplants from the Northeast who love hockey. A lot of old geezers. Us three, you know what they like. A Saturday night
Well, for
game.
sure. I mean, that's
There's a lot of.
well, why do you think the NHL went to Florida in the first place? I mean, it wasn't that the entire state of Florida was dying for it. It's that you had a bunch of built-in fans already that would embrace it and give yourself a big head start. And I think the way Atlanta's grown over the last 20 years puts them in a much better position to succeed when it comes to all of that. It is interesting talking about what's happening in the offseason. I will tell you, though, the focus around here is on this Winnipeg Jets team pushing for first place in the Central and the West. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Nashville Predators are the hottest team in the NHL coming to town tonight, trying to strengthen their grip on one of those wild card spots in the West.
Well, where are you on these Jets? I don't know if you've addressed this or not, but is this the best Jets team ever? 1.0 or 2.0?
I mean, it's wow, 1.0. I mean, that is tough to say. I mean, there were so many great teams that were unfortunately in the same division as the legendary Gretzky Oilers dynasty. So I mean, that's probably a bigger conversation. However, in the 2.0 era, obviously the best team that the Winnipeg Jets ever put forth is the 17-18 team. I would argue that the forward group right now, post-deadline, assuming Gabriel Velarde's back and healthy, with the addition of Tyler Toffoli, is as good as, if not maybe better than that group was. The difference is the blue line. I mean, if you think back to that team, and we talk about the scarcity of great right-hand shot defensemen, that team on the right side had Dustin Byfuglien, Jacob Trouba, and Tyler Myers. I mean, with all due respect to the guys, and Josh Morrissey's having another incredible season, the blue line is tough to compare. But at the same time, we've got Connor Hellebuck playing in his prime at the top of his game, probably winning another Vezina trophy with a backup in Laurent Brossoit that gives them, well, right now, the leaders for the Jennings trophy. Like, I think the goaltending and the style of play under Rick Bowness, I think, has helped the defense. Like, the defensive numbers are much better on this team. I mean, certainly than that team was before. If you're talking about a 7-game series, they don't quite have the game breakers that a Byfuglien is. And having a guy like Trouba on your second pair was just so massive. Josh Morrissey is doing so much right now. But again, Colin Miller looked good. And again, I'm not comparing Colin Miller to those guys that I just mentioned. But to have him come in on a third pairing role to give some support to Dylan Sandberg, the depth of now having Nate Schmidt and Logan Stanley as 7-8 guys that can come in an injury. I'll say this, Kevin Cheveldayoff, over the course of the last 12 months since last year's trade deadline to now, you could definitely make the argument that he has been the most effective general manager in the NHL and has done the best job in some pretty trying circumstances when you think about the Dubois issues and then what was going to happen with Hellebuck and Scheifele. For the Jets to be battling for the number one spot in the National Hockey League right now speaks to the job that he's done, and he continued it last week with the acquisition of Tyler Toffoli and then Colin Miller right before the buzzer.
Thanks for the time, Huss. Always good. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll chat with you in the playoffs.
Looking forward to talking a little football. I guess everyone in Atlanta is all fired up that the Cuz is coming to the dirty South. There's lots going on right now, Roddy. Anyway, thanks for having me, and enjoy the Pucks tonight.
Thank you, buddy.